Today on Rock Feed, we've got a very special guest with us here today. He is one of the biggest sex symbols in the heavy metal world. He is the drummer for international recording artist Steel Panther. I'm talking about Mr. Stix Zadinia. Stix, how the heck are you doing, man?
Brian, I'm the best.
How are you? First of all, before we get this out of the way, I got a couple things I want to shout out for you guys. Steel Panther has a lot going on, despite the fact that the music industry is shut down. August 16th, you can go to their website. They've got the Rock Down in the Lockdown, baby. They are doing a live show. This isn't one of those reruns that you see other bands doing. They are doing a full-scale performance. I know I'm going to be drinking a little bit of whiskey and catching the Steel Panther show. And they're not just playing live streams either. They're getting out and performing live. They got the Fast Cars and Loud Guitar shows September 11th and 12th in Pittsburgh on the 11th and Scranton, Pennsylvania on the 12th. This is a drive-in concert performance for social distancing. Now, I had some thoughts on this, Stix, when I saw this. I didn't think this was so much about the social distancing, but more so the convenience factor for you guys. Now you don't even have to take the chicks backstage. You can just get in their cars. I don't have to bring them back to my hotel room. And I'm stoked about that because sometimes when you try to kick them out of your hotel room, they want to stick around and it's a weird, awkward time. So this way we roll into the cars, business gets handled, and then I'm out. So I can pull the ripcord whenever I want, Brian. And I think that's the future of rock and roll. In the band's best interest, you hit it and you split it. You hit it and you split it. That's right. And so when you guys are playing these drive-in shows, are you guys going to be going out and getting into those cars during the performance? I mean, what can people expect from a band like Steel Panther putting on these type of shows?
Well, I don't plan on doing it because I have to play the drums, and I don't think I could do it. Look, I don't know if our singer is going to be climbing in and out of cars, but if he does, because he's socially distancing, he will have a hazmat suit on with a little cutout area for his unit. By the way, speaking of that, have you seen the CDC guide on glory holes?
I heard that there was actually. Let me pull that up. Let me pull this up right now.
The CDC actually recommends glory holes because you're not making face-to-face contact, and I love that, Brian.
I love that. So I'm pulling this up right now. We got it. This is on July 22nd from TMZ. The Canadian CDC, the BC Centre for Disease Control, says that glory holes could be used as key to having safe sex during the coronavirus pandemic, at least according to Canada's top health experts. So it does look like they're really thinking outside the box here, and this plays into the hands of a band like Steel Panther.
I see what you did outside the box. Mm-hmm. I see what you said. That's pretty good. Which is a great name for a glory hole.
It is.
Welcome to Outside the Box.
Yes.
Which hole do you want?
That'd be a good podcast name for you guys.
You're so good. Yeah. That's so awesome. I think it's, look, we wrote a song called Glory Hole. I think it's fascinating, and I think it's fantastic that they're recommending it. And if you really think about it, it goes right in line with what everyone's saying. No face-to-face. You just handle it through a wall, and you're not breathing on anyone. There's no droplets from your face holes. But, it's cool. I support it.
100%.
I lost my train of thought of what we were talking about.
Well, so we were talking about the drive-in shows and the era of social distancing. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was, when you're at home now, some people would say being on the road increases your opportunities for extracurricular activities with girls. But I'm wondering when you're at home. In fact, this is a fan question from Instagram over at RockFeed.net. And this fan wrote, we got a lot of questions in I'm going to ask, but Bolashitia, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, says, how many women do you screw on a daily basis?
6.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's just like, I'm just giving you like an average day. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 9.
Wow. That is amazing.
But you know, if the question gets asked, it's going to get answered.
It's the truth, and it doesn't have to necessarily be convenient for people, but facts are facts, and that's just the way it is. So you recently spoke out. Have you been following this Sebastian Bach Chris Jericho feud?
I see where you're going, Brian, and I like it.
Yes. So let's talk about it, because I covered this on the show last week, and I found this whole thing interesting. I don't know Sebastian Bach, but he is, in my opinion, he comes off a little brash on Twitter, and Chris Jericho has been a big defender of him in the past. He's been a big supporter, and then just out of nowhere, he comes out and starts dogging Jericho, saying, Chris Jericho, he has backing traps, or he minds to a tape. And there's this movement of legacy guys in the music industry who, it's almost like they don't know how to use a computer, so they get pissed at the young cats who do. And, so I saw you defending that, and I'm curious what your take is on this whole situation where people are going off on people who may or may not use backing tracks. I don't know about Jericho.
Copy that. Okay. So I have this is a several layer cake, Brian. We'll start off with the first layer. The first attack from Sebastian Bach on Chris Jericho. I don't know what kind of history they have, but I know Chris pretty well. He is an awesome dude. In my tweet, I said he's one of the coolest motherfuckers in this business, which is true. We toured with them, and Fozzy opened for us,
right?
And the entire band, and Chris and the band and everybody were so humble and so grateful to be on the road with us, and it was like we had a fun time. Like, a lot of times when you tour with bands, you're like, oh, cool. Okay, we got a cool band with us, but you don't hang, right, because schedules are different, sound checks are different, and then by the end of the night, sometimes bands do what they do, and everybody's got their own lives. But when we toured with Fozzy, we hung out, and it was fun. It was really fun. Really super nice guys. So when the first accusation was lobbed by Sebastian, I was like, first of all, to address the tracks versus no tracks, me personally, I don't care.
Me neither.
Iron Maiden, from what I know, does not use tracks. Okay, they do. That's all I know is they don't use tracks. Bruce Dickinson sings fantastic, right? If Bruce lost a little bit of the sauce in the voice, and he said to his guys, hey guys, I would like to use some tracks because I want to be able to present those notes
right
to the fans who are waiting for them. Because look, everybody wants to hear that running low, everyone wants to hear that big notes.
Right.
If a singer wants to rely on some tracks for that, I don't give a fuck, because live is it's a presentation, and you're not listening to the record. And to me, whether a guy uses tracks or not, I don't care. And so Sebastian Bach cares a lot about whether or not you use tracks, apparently. I just thought that, we just feel different about it. Like, it's important to him, obviously enough to, sabotage what sounded like a friendship.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm not claiming to know, but it seemed like they were.
It's hard to imagine that you can continue to be friends when I don't know if you saw this or not, but Sebastian Bach posted screenshots of text messages he sent to Jericho, and he called him a pussy and said he was going to beat his ass. He posted that and then he deleted it. There's no way they're friends now.
Oh, Brian, I've seen it from the inside.
Yeah. Wow.
I've seen some things from the inside, and first of all, Jericho. Look, I'm not the smallest dude in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty fit, Brian. But if I was going to pick a fight with somebody, it would not be a Canadian professional wrestler who's paid to get his ass whooped and then whoop on dude. Say what you want about wrestling.
Yep.
I never got into it as a kid, but I do recognize the fact that those guys are tough as fucking nails.
Yep.
And Jericho, like, it's just, I can't even be mad at Sebastian Bach for what he said, because it just seems like it's a bad idea to pick a fight with a guy like Jericho. First of all, because he's super cool. Second of all, because you're a 60-year-old man and you're picking a fight with somebody. That's ridiculous in and of itself.
Is he 60? Is he 60?
I don't know. 70, 50? I don't know. But I can tell you this. If you're going around going, dude, I'm going to kick your ass.
Right.
Think about this. Take it out of the rock world and let's put it in the real world. You got a dude running around town, an old man, not, going,
an older guy?
Because you use a tape recorder. Is that fine?
Oh my God, dude! When you put it into that kind of context, that is so true. He's very angry at his age.
I don't know what is going on, and we've met Sebastian Bach, and he was very nice to us, except for one time at the Viper Room. He was not nice one time, but for the most part, he's been nice to us. I don't know what his issue with Jericho is. I don't know what his issue with tape tracks is or computer tracks, but it just seems like a whole lot of energy going into something that he could so be better served by putting that energy into writing music or recording music or putting some shit out that his fans and that we all, because I'm a fan too. I love Skid Row. And Sebastian Bach is one of the best singers in heavy metal of all time. Yeah. I mean, whether you like his fight challenges or not, dude can sing.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear some killer shit come out, but instead he's busy trying to call people out. I don't understand it.
His Twitter is it's a real dumpster fire. And, I don't care if people want to be on Twitter and they want to be political and all that stuff. I have no issue with that. That's fine. Some of the stuff he says, I really agree with. It's, to me, the fact that he comes out and thinks that his way is the only way that it can be in the music world. And, the idea that you just say, he just brings up other people's shit out there into the ethos and you call into to question someone's integrity as a musician, and you act surprised. He's like, I wasn't dissing you. I was just saying, you can't sing worth a shit, and I think the problem is today is that we have this real purist mindset of the performances that we go to, and the old guard sort of, no disrespect to him because he is very talented, but they're very negative on using technology that exists today. So we're trying to bring young people in and they can go to the fucking Fortnite concert down the street and there's pyro and all these LED screens and all this badass effects. And then, the band, any band that's trying to put on an entertaining show with pyro and lights and backing tracks gets called a poser by the smoker in the bleachers with the leather jacket on. And, it sucks.
The way you used to do it.
Yeah, let me tell you something, young buck. Let me tell you how the old dogs used to do it.
Dude, you know what? Fuck everybody. Yeah. We seriously, we have a song called Fuck Everybody.
Yeah.
People don't know that Steel Panther writes songs. People go, oh, that's the band that sings about dicks and titties. No, we're the band that's telling the truth.
Right.
We're like, you know what, dude? Just fuck everybody.
Yeah.
Because we're all just trying to make it in this music business. We're all trying to survive. Nobody knows the next right move because, Corona, butt fucked us all or is currently butt fucking us. So everyone's trying to do whatever they're trying to do. And you want to harsh somebody for their, they're trying, and dude, let bands do what bands are going to do. Why it has no effect on anyone else what another band does. And you know what? When I see my friends and I see other bands succeed and it's done a different way than the way Steel Panther does it, I'm like, that's bitching. What can I learn from that and bring into our camp to make our shit better? Because there's there's not enough like camaraderie in rock. I feel like everybody that we have a relationship with in Steel Panther, most people, there are people that we're not huge fans of, obviously, because we're humans, but there's just not enough camaraderie. And I think that, whatever Sebastian has against Jericho, he should have kept it private or just between them, because it seems like when you do that shit publicly, it just seems like you're screaming for attention and going, and followers and people to pay attention to you, because what's the upside?
Right. Exactly. And you see, you just said something that jogged my memory. And actually, I got banned by a musician because of something that you said in an interview. Hang on, this is hilarious. I gotta tell this story. Hang on. All right. So
is this a bass player?
No. Yes, it is a bass player. Yes.
Okay.
So
does the same rhyme with Schmicky Cricks?
Yes, it does. So there was an interview with Little Punk People where you were asked the question. You were asked the question, if you could bring any musician back from the dead, who would it be? And you said, I'd bring back Vince Neil.
Oh, no. I got to correct you.
Okay.
I said, so it was Michael Starr and myself.
Yes.
I said Ray Gillen.
Okay.
The singer for Badlands, who died of HIV.
Right.
Michael Starr said
Vince Neil, which is fantastic.
And I looked at him and I go, dude, he's not dead. And he goes, well, the Vince Neil from back in the day is. Right.
So Nikki Sixx comes out on Twitter and he's like, this is so unfair and this is an injustice to Vince Neil and this isn't right. And I responded and I was just like, dude, it's just a joke. And he got so angry about it and banned me. And then the aspect was that he acted like Vince Neil was this whole angel. I'm not here to judge Vince Neil, but Vince Neil's not a perfect guy. I'm not a perfect guy either. Everybody deserves jokes. And I just thought it was funny, sort of the way that over the years, Motley Crue seems, in my opinion, to have like tried to discredit you guys for some odd reason. I think that they think that you guys are wrongly. I think they think you guys are like parroting them or something.
I think you're dead fucking on. I feel like they have taken what we do. They've really taken it personally. Like we take them into account when we think of what we might want to do next. And
yeah.
Honestly, dude, they're not a part of our thought process at all. I mean, I'm not saying that for any other reason than they don't factor into anything that we do.
Yeah. Other
than they wrote some music and put on a great show back in the day.
Yeah.
And that's never going to change. That's always going to be what it is. But nobody in our band ever says, what would Nikki Sixx do?
Right.
And it's funny because I don't know how much of that story you followed, but when he came out at us and called us assholes and backstabbers,
yep,
we got a hold of some footage of him in an interview with Karabi and Mick Barnes and Tommy Lee. Did you see that?
I saw that and I covered it. Yeah.
Yeah, where he's just fucking like, he's ripping on Vince Neil about his weight. He got in a jet ski accident, his ribs, and they're like, well, how's the coral? And just like cold-blooded shit. And we were like, backstab much or whatever we wrote.
Yep.
And that was the end of it because, you fucking tell somebody that they're talking shit and somebody digs up a video of you being, 1,000 times more cold-blooded than a lighthearted joke.
Yep.
It's like, dude, just again, Michael Starr said that obviously in a very lighthearted way.
I've got the video right here. I've got the clip of them saying it. Let me see if I can put this up on the screen. This is what they said about Vince Neil back in the day.
My heart goes out to you. What happened to the coral reef?
Oh man.
Hey, when 300 pounds of blubber land on the coral reef, you know there was some dust flying around.
You're invited, but I weigh a ton.
Oh, okay, here we go. Great.
When 300 pounds of blubber hit the coral reef, what do you expect? And they were mocking an injury that he had.
Yeah, dude. It was a real injury. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's like, dude, don't throw stones if you're in a glass house, man. And I hate to use, a catchphrase, but two birds are worth spilt milk.
Right. And so I just feel like that, and I know they're good with Vince Neil now. It's just, but don't get mad. That was a very innocent joke. Vince Neil has had better days on the stage. By the way, I understand that Vince Neil is getting into shape. I understand he's been doing really well.
I've heard from people that I know that he looks great and he's training his ass off. So that, just hearing that's fucking awesome, because all that's going to do is help him live longer, for real.
Right. And perform better. I mean, almost certainly. I think the thing that did it for him, other than just wanting to be generally healthier, is that have you seen the Vince Neil singing compilation video?
Dude,
that's infamous, dude.
It's amazing. It's with the words on the bottom, right?
Right.
Dude, it's crazy. What they interpreted him saying was that was the funniest part. It was what they thought what he was singing sounded like.
Right.
And so that was it was entertaining as hell.
Yeah, he's a character, but like we said, it is fantastic that he's getting into shape, and I just wish that it's really not. I mean, really, it's Vince Neil seems like a chill guy. It just seems like Nikki Sixx loves him some Nikki Sixx and just takes stuff too seriously. I mean, when you get a diss track written on you by Godsmack, they wrote that. Sully Erna wrote that song, "Crying Like a Bitch."
Dude, it's funny you brought that up. I was driving around the other day. I was coming home, I think from the golf course, which is not very heavy metal, but I love golf, so fuck everybody.
You were meeting with your dealer there.
Yeah, I was meeting. Yeah, he's a great golfer. I heard that song. I think it was on Octane, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is written about Nikki Sixx." It's pretty funny, dude. I mean, I guess that's a kind of a cool way to challenge channel your anger. If Sebastian Bach wrote a song about Jericho,
right,
that would be amazing.
That would be pretty interesting. And the one thing that I would like to see is that Jericho said he would challenge him to a sing off, and so maybe that'll happen one day. But again,
I say they go the whole thing. Have a sing off and then a fist fight, because
straight up
that would be, look, I mean, Sebastian challenged him.
Yeah.
So, if he wants to answer the challenge, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't know, but it would be entertaining.
I've met Jericho in person, and when I interviewed him, first of all, I interviewed him, and he was a really nice guy, really funny guy, really positive guy, and surprisingly humble. But that's so people who are like even considering the idea that Sebastian Bach could take on Chris Jericho haven't seen him in person. You look at pictures of Chris Jericho on the internet, or any person on the internet, but to meet them, the dude has kegs for arms. It's laughable how big his arms are. Sebastian Bach, not in his wildest dreams, he could train for 6 months, the best he had, full time, and Chris Jericho could just drink and screw off for 6 months. And he's still beating that ass,
dude. I don't even want to explain it. Bottom line, in a fist fight, and you can print this shit. Jericho is whooping 99% of the dudes' asses in rock and roll. Right.
I agree with that.
And the reason I'm leaving that 1% is because someone can always get a shot.
Yeah, there's guys like Tommy Vexed out there who are fucking swole that might have a shot, But
Jericho, dude, we all know for a fact that dude can take an enormous amount of ass whooping and get up and go. And that's the thing. what happens when you get hit? Because everyone can swing and hit.
Yep.
But when you get hit, are you going to respond like, oh my God, I don't normally get hit? That dude gets hit on the reg.
Yep.
So you knock that guy in the face, he's going to be like, awesome, it's a Tuesday night, let's do this.
Right. I was just thinking that, like, on weeknights, we're at home, like, watching Dateline NBC, and he's just somewhere in, like, New Mexico getting smashed in the face. You know?
Dude. I mean, the guy's he's legitimately probably one of the most, like, durable dudes I've ever met.
Yeah. And I love also that Sebastian Bach is criticizing his rock credentials. And by the way, that's only 50% of his career. On the other hand, he's one of the most prolific pro wrestlers of all time. He's just talking about, like, one of Jericho's hustles. He also has a massive podcast.
Yep. His podcast, his wrestling, his band. He writes books.
Yeah.
The dude's an ultimate hustle. And I'm not trying to suck his dick, but straight up, the guy goes. He goes. And you can't, there's just certain people you can't call out. I mean, or you can try, but then when you really look at them and you look at their body of work in its entirety, you just go, okay, well, that's awesome. Like, how do you call that out?
Right. It's just the people who bring the negativity. And you're right. I got to get off of Jericho because this is like a Jericho circle jerk right now. I think
you definitely got to get off Jericho.
Right. So let me ask you this. I want to talk to you about, I think that Steel Panther is one of the best business bands out there. You guys are actually independent. You do a lot of, you draw crowds everywhere you go. I've seen you so many times. Me and my brother, me and my friends, we've gotten smashed. We've done it up. We've worn the wigs. We've come out there and dressed up in the gear and had a great time. And so I wanted to talk about how you guys are, from a business perspective, making it. A lot of people don't realize what a challenge it is to be in a band, and then underscoring that during this pandemic. So I wanted to kind of talk about that aspect. And there's a lot of people out there, they steal from bands, they rip them off. It's just a real challenge.
That's all you bring up a lot. And it's interesting because, we manage ourselves. And we have for the last 3 years. And one of the reasons that we decided to do that was because when you are a band of a certain size and you're not the smallest band in the world and you're not the biggest band in the world, there are decisions to be made. And everyone, if the band wants to do something, then with a traditional manager, you tell your manager, hey, we want to do this. And the manager goes, okay, I'll get on that. And hopefully they get on that. But they have lives and they have other things going on and in other things that are important to them. And there's certain things that may take priority over the thing that you really want to do in your band. And no one's band is more important to them than the guy in the band. And so one of the major factors for us was we wanted to be able to just make decisions and go and turn on a dime and not wait for someone to do it for us.
Right.
Because it just takes extra time, and also you're paying extra money. So for us, it was really important to be able to kind of control our own destiny. And, everything was going really, really well. Pandemic hits, and then are forced to go off the road, and their main source of income is cut off. And they have this manager now that is taking a piece of money, and there's no work to be done. So
a significant piece too, usually.
Significant piece, yes, yeah. So do managers during the pandemic, are they taking a cut of stuff?
That's a tough question, bro.
Think about that, dude. I'm not trying to diss managers at all.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like shine a little light on the reality of our business. Because, managers can be really great for certain things, bringing new opportunities to the table that the band itself may not be able to go after because they don't have the relationships. Leverage. If the manager has some juice, they may be able to put the band in a position that they wouldn't get themselves in. But like I said, if your band is a known quantity and booking agents and promoters know what you do and you have a history, you can kind of get under the hood. And when you figure out how all the parts work, like merch and records and live, and you want to do a live stream, and you got to go do the work. You got to have somebody in the band who wants to go do the work. And now for us, that's me. I'm very, very interested in that part of our business. And, we make decisions together. So if something comes up and we want to do something, we hop on the phone. I text the dudes. I go, hey, can you guys get on the phone in an hour? Everyone want to do this. This is the upside. This is the downside. And everybody goes, let's roll. Or we talk about it and we go, maybe we don't.
Right.
But it requires good communication within the band, and it requires personnel in the band who are interested and capable of either doing the job, or if they don't know how to do the job, finding people who do.
Right.
So it's important to know what you don't know, because, I know that I don't know everything. So I know people who do know certain shit about certain shit. And I'm going to make sure that, our bases are covered when we go do this stuff. So, when it comes to the making it in this business that you brought up, I've seen a lot of people, I've seen a lot of comments about fans saying, well, man, why do you guys, why are you being such whores? Why do you sell so much stuff? Why do you do this? And I think people, I don't think they realize that being in a band, it starts out as fun.
Right.
And the goal is to keep it fun the entire time. But when you start having some success, now you're dealing with a business, and you have a product, which is your music and your art and your visual. And with Steel Panther, we also have an entertainment angle that most bands don't.
Right.
And that's the fact that each one of us is entertaining. And as a group, we are able to come up with content that's not live music, but like our SPTV stuff, our YouTube channel, all the things that we do because we think we're really entertaining. No, we enjoy it, and people seem to enjoy it. So, we create content, we create merch, we write music, we go perform when we can. But in this pandemic, we're coming up with opportunities for ourselves and merch items, and we're putting them up. And I've seen people go, man, you guys fucking selling so much shit. It's, easy. And I'm like, dude, McDonald's doesn't just sell a Big Mac.
Right.
Because if they did, there's a lot of people that don't like Big Macs, right? So they threw in a Quarter Pounder, and they threw in the McChicken, and they threw in now the chicken wraps, and they threw in all the variety, right?
Right.
And I don't think you ever hear anyone say this. Man, you guys are fucking over your customers. You have way too much stuff. No one's forcing anyone to go to McDonald's and eat a hamburger.
Right.
Ever. No one is forcing someone to go to a band's website and buy something either. And like our outlook is, look, we're going to put stuff up for people to enjoy. If they want it, great. If they don't want it, that's totally cool. We don't put something up and then if somebody doesn't buy it, go, man, fuck that. It's not that. It's a business, and it's a fun business, and it's a hard business. But at the end of the day, it's not a hobby, and it's how I eat. It's how people, provide for families. It's how we live.
Right.
And, it's interesting to me because, so many people feel like music should be free. And like, if fuck that, I'm not going to pay for it when I can get it for free. Well, dude, you know what? If you started your own company and you made hockey sticks and people started to like them, and they went, fuck that, dude. I shouldn't have to pay for this hockey stick. It's the same thing.
Right.
Music is a product. Music is, it's it's a product. And prior to the internet, people paid for it because it was something that people made for sale. And, you know, the way that it's gone, everybody expects music for free. And unfortunately for bands, I feel bad look, don't get me wrong. I feel fortunate that we have the business that we have.
Absolutely.
And I feel lucky, but I also know that we work our balls off to try to make it as entertaining and cool and fun for the listener or the fan or the person who doesn't know about us when they get turned on to us. If they do, that they go, oh my God, man, that's killer. That makes me forget all my bullshit that I got going on. And that makes me feel good. And I like the songs and the band is fun.
Right.
That's our thing. So, you know, when I see, you know, it's mostly, you know, the younger generation who has never paid for music. We're in a business. It's right. The music business. It's not the music favors. It's not the music food.
Right.
You know, and we do try to do a lot for our fans because we appreciate the fact that we wouldn't be in business without them, and we feel grateful. But at the same time, our music and our concerts that's how we pay our bills.
You're also not forcing people to buy these products. It's like these are just things that are available to other people that they don't have to buy. Now, so I will say this. So there are a lot of bands that are expanding into different markets. They're opening different products. For me, I love that. As a businessman, I support that 1,000%. The only time I don't support it is there was a band recently, and I'm not going to name the band. The band they went on their press run and they were doing interviews a couple months ago about how capitalism is a bad problem and this is a problem and we wrote this song about how bad capitalism is. And then they just launched a product line. And I'm like, well, I mean, I got no problem with your opinion. I support it and I love your music. But now you're launching products, bro. Like, which one is it? Pick a side, you know?
Yeah, that's the problem with picking a side, is because once you pick one, you kind of got to stick with it. Otherwise, if you flip flop, then you just lose your cred. Then people just go, fuck that, you know?
Yeah.
Like to me, rock and roll was never political. To me, rock and roll was an escape. And now bands like Rage Against the Machine, super political,
right?
Great fucking band,
absolutely.
But they picked a side, and they stuck with that side. So I got nothing but respect for that.
Right.
I mean, whether you agree with bands or not, if they pick a side and stick with it, that's cool. I get
right.
it. But yeah, don't
send mixed messages.
Don't say capitalism is shit and then fucking start hawking coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I feel like you know who I'm talking about. So, all right. We've got some more questions. We got a ton of questions here that we got to get to. A lot of good questions too. So first of all, this is a great one. Harrison Whitecloud from Instagram over at RockFeed.net. You can check these questions out. Asked, what is the worst gig you've played with Steel Panther?
Ooh.
Any real dumpy gigs that you're like, this sucked?
I'm trying to think. There have been so many. I mean, when you start out, right, you play wherever you can play, and you take what you can get. And we've played some shady places, dude. There was a club in Vegas. I can't even remember the name. It was like there were people shooting up in the alley behind it. There was just chicks, not hot ones, doing blow like in the hallway. It's like, and that's cool, but it was rough, dude. I mean, there's been so many gigs. Every band's got the stories. I can't really think of a specific one. But I know that we've played gigs where we were just trying to get out of there alive, dude.
Right. Just trying to survive.
Yeah. And you get to a place where all of a sudden now you're like with reputable promoters, and you build it, and hopefully you get out of that circuit and you go to the next circuit and you try and climb. Sure.
And build. Allison wants to know, what was your first impression of your bandmates when you first met them all?
I liked all of them. I mean, Satchel and I met in, God, I can't even remember the year, 80 something. I mean, I've known these guys longer than I've known family members.
Right.
But we all immediately hit it off. Like we get along ridiculously well. Mm-hmm. And we've kind of always gotten along. I mean, along the way there's been some arguments.
Sure.
But we've learned we've learned how to listen to each other. And so, I remember just in the beginning just going, yeah, there was an immediate chemistry, immediate vibe, which is why we had a good time from day one.
Right. And so talking about Steel Panther, and, you guys have gotten so much love from virtually everyone. The list of people that you've performed with is just insane. The amount of people that you guys have jammed with and brought up on stage. For a while there, you guys, I don't know if this is something you still do occasionally, but you had like the residency in LA, and that was really cool. And like every weekend people were coming down, and like there's that infamous video. I think Kelly Clarkson performed with you guys, everybody. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you is, how did those relationships form? Like, Corey Taylor's featured, Chad Kroeger's featured, which is awesome. How did you guys meet? How were you guys introduced?
So we had a residency in Hollywood for 13 or 14 years every Monday night. And it just became the place to go. Like if you were on tour in LA and it was a Monday night, you were coming. Movie productions, the actors and actresses and the crew would come. And we built this crazy reputation for these shows that were sold out every single week. And you never knew who was going to show up, never knew what was going to happen. Naked girls, heavy metal, lots of booze, lots of drugs. And it was like hedonism every Monday night. And, Chad Kroeger would come to the show. We'd call him out. Come on, Chad. And we didn't even know him, but we were like, we're not playing another note until you get on stage. Like, everybody's like, go, go, go. And he came up. Corey Taylor got up and jammed with us. He played Poison, Talk Dirty to Me. That was the first song I think we did with him. And it was just instantly like, when you jam with someone, you share this experience with them. And it's kind of this accelerated introduction. You're like, oh, we just made music together, and it's something that's more than just like a handshake.
Right.
And then when we recorded our first record, we had Jay Rustin produce it, and we had Corey Taylor come in, Scott Ian come in, M Shadows come in, and it's just like all these relationships just kept building and getting nurtured because we did this weekly show, and when people would come into town, they'd come up and jam. Tom Morello, Jerry Cantrell. We had Michael Strahan on stage with us. Jeremy Piven. We had Pink got on stage with us. She fucking amazing voice.
She is so talented.
Yeah, we had Chester Bennington get on stage and did Welcome to the Jungle with us.
Wow.
And you know what, dude? He fucking killed it. So what I think is pretty interesting about our story is that we had that residency, which helped kind of solidify us as a band that people enjoyed watching. So now when we decided to go out and tour internationally, when we would do festivals, all the bands would line the stage, because they wanted to see what would happen. And interestingly enough, when we ended up on those big stages in front of 50, 90,000 people, nudity would follow. And for some reason, chicks like to show their titties at Steel Panther shows. That's the deal. Yeah. We encourage it and we love it, but it seems like they're very inclined to do it. And I think coming to a Steel Panther show or seeing us at a festival, I think people know now it's the time that you can go be the biggest freak in the world. No one's going to judge you. And it's this all-inclusive, anything goes, like we're all in this together, and there's very little that's off limits.
Right. And that's the thing about Steel Panther. Anybody who's ever criticized you, I know there's been some articles out there, but anybody who's ever criticized you guys, they don't understand what your band is about. They haven't been to your show and seen the crowd that is. And by the way, many of the people I go to every band under the sun and see them live. You guys draw a different crowd, in my opinion, than other bands draw. It's a large portion of them are also fans that wouldn't ordinarily go to metal shows. They go to take the sort of stand-up aspect that you guys do during your show as well. You have like different, you'll stop the show and you'll just start riffing on each other and in the crowd. And it is just hilarious, the stuff you guys do. That is some of my favorite moments from any live show is you guys doing that. And I feel like it's so challenging in today's era where people are they scrutinize people more for every little thing they do. And I really appreciate the fact that you guys have been able to stand in there and not compromise, the comedy aspect of what you guys do and the funny parts. You're not forcing girls to go up and show their boobs. No. They go up there because they want to. So
I feel like, my cat's trying to get out.
Totally fine.
My prisoner right now. We like to have fun, and we like to, because when you go to a concert and it's a song and then a song and then a song and then a song, we like to break it up and have it flow and interact with the crowd. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about with Steel Panther being entertaining while not playing, and having it be sort of this complete, sensory overload when you come to our shows. You're going to get the sights, the sounds, the smells, the tastes, the touches, and all the things. And I think, I would say that 40 to 50% of our audience is female.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that women come to our shows because it's a fun, fucking sexy time. Like it's for everybody. It's not just for angry 14-year-old dudes in black hoodies. It's for, they can come to the show too. Yep. But it's for everybody. And it was interesting but back in the day when we used to do shows before the COVID, I remember we were playing in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and there was a transsexual female who got up on stage, and she was like 6 foot, real tall, but very done up, and like into it. And Michael Starr, while all the girls are dancing on stage, he'll get up on girls and dance with them, and they'll come flirt with them and do all the things. Right. It would be one thing if he was just going after certain hot chicks, right? But he goes
to everyone.
He goes after girls he goes after big girls. He goes after skinny girls. He goes after tall girls, short girls, and he goes after transsexual girls.
That's awesome.
He got up and danced with her, and the joy that because I pay attention to that shit. Yeah. The joy, the smile that she had afterwards, and she went over to her friends and gave them big hugs, and she's just happy.
That is awesome.
And seeing that made me feel like, man, you know what? If I'm part of something that made her feel that way, because I'm sure that life ain't easy, because you're putting yourself out there for a lot of people to judge or say whatever the fuck they're going to say because they're,
assholes.
Assholes, and they can't comprehend that stuff. To be able to brighten someone's day like that, I love that. And we love the fact that we make people smile while we do our rock and try to fuck bitches.
Yeah. So again, while we're talking, I just want to remind everybody, Rock Down in the Lockdown, Steel Panther, you haven't seen shows in so long. They're playing in-person shows, a drive-in show, 9/11 at Pittsburgh, 9/12 in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Get your tickets now at Steel Panther's website. And of course, they've got a live stream August 16th. This is not a rerun live stream. This is an actual live broadcast performance. So,
you know what else, Brian?
What?
In this live stream, that's a little bit different. So we're doing all different songs than our first live stream. It's a completely different set list. And we're also doing, we're throwing in some pre-taped sketches as well.
Ah.
And so what I like to refer to it as a reverse Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
So instead of a show being interrupted by music, this is a concert being interrupted by some show.
Totally. And you guys do original content so well. I wanted to ask you, one of the questions that we got, and I'm sorry if I don't have your username up here, but one of the questions I got was sort of, they're asking if you guys were going to work on a movie and if there was any plans to do something like that.
That question, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But I will say this: since the beginning of our band, we've been told and we believe that there should be a TV show or a feature film or something like that because of the nature of our band.
Yes,
we are working on. I will say, I think I could say that we are in the midst of working on something that if we get it right, it will be the biggest thing that we've ever done.
Wow.
It's like I'm trying to contain myself and I'm trying not to let too much information out, but we are working on something that will be landscape changing for us.
Wow.
Yes.
That would be insane.
And I'll tell you about it off air.
Yes, I really want to hear about that.
Yeah, it's fucking cool.
So talking about, doing the type of content that you guys do and having YouTube content, having content that's, that you're displaying on these streams, on stage and all that sort of stuff. What do you think the challenge is for, a lot of people say, and I agree with them to an extent, that rock music, it's next to impossible to break a newer band. And you guys, before you really blew up, you guys were around for a long time. But when you blew up was probably around 2011, 2012-ish.
Yeah, that's kind of where it went. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, and so I remember when, you guys first came on my radar, and it was just, you guys have just skyrocketed since then. And so I wanted to ask, what do you think? Because I think you guys do it right all the way around. You're entertaining. Your image is great. You're funny. You're just entertaining, 360 degrees of entertainment. What do you think the new bands that come out, that so many of them don't stick? Some of them do. There are bands like I Prevail that are younger, Bad Wolves that are newer, that are sticking right now. But what do you think that all the other bands that aren't around are lacking?
Oh man, that's a really fucking good question. So first of all, I think that bands, a lot of younger modern bands, look the same.
Yeah,
they look the same, and then they sound the same. So, you have you have bands that kind of trailblaze in a way that all of a sudden everybody in the music business or all the newer bands go, oh, that's popular. Let's try to sound like that. That's popular, and they're zigging while the arrowheads of that sound are zagging. So they're always behind. You know what I mean? They never latch on it, and by the time they get to that place where the leader was, they're gone.
Right.
And so are the listeners. So they're just perpetually chasing. I think that if a band clearly identifies their sound and says, this is us, for better or worse, you fucking take it or you leave it. That's it. And we're going to do what we want to do, musically. And if hopefully people I feel like there's not a lot of identity in rock. And there's dudes in bands that I've seen where I look at the band and I see the singer generally, and I go, oh, that's the singer for this. But if you ask me to name the bass player for, bro, I don't even know what the bass player in some of the biggest bands in the world are, or the drummer, or you know what I mean? Just because the identity sonically and visually is so there's so many bands are trying to follow these big bands that it's like, I don't know, the originality, man. And look, I'm not saying that, what Steel Panther does, we do a genre of music that was done in the 80s. So we're not trailblazing, but what we have done is we play a certain type of music. We look a certain way, for better or worse. You could take it or leave it. And hopefully it's something that people like. If they don't,
stands out too. It's brilliant marketing, because people who see you, they can't forget what you look like.
Thank you. You know what? It's interesting when we're at festivals and we're doing press and we're walking around, whether it's backstage or around people. I see people go, "Oh, that's Steel Panther."
Yes.
Whether or not they've heard our songs or not, they know when us four are together. They go, "That's Steel." They know right away. If I see a band, I can't even name you a band. If I see like four dudes walking from a press tent to a dressing room,
right? I
don't know who that is,
right?
I mean, unless they're Maiden or unless they're big enough. But all the bands who are trying to go up the ladder, I just feel like if there was a little bit more, identity,
right? Sometimes it's really tough. Where I have, I'll get interviews and I'm very selective about the interviews I do. And some people take that to be, oh, you don't talk about the newer, younger bands. And that's not true. I do live streams all the time where I'll play their music, I'll suggest them. But oftentimes these younger bands don't have this, the really small ones don't have a story to tell really oftentimes, or it's often very similar. And but they have the ego that maybe a band like Steel Panther or the bigger bands have because they've earned it, but they'll have that ego and they'll come in and they'll have the fucking shades on and all this stuff. And I've been cool guyed by a lot of bands that I felt like I was doing a favor to by, that isn't a band anywhere close to the size of like a Steel Panther. And there's not a lot to talk about sometimes when you do that. Like it's a younger band that, and I'm not saying all younger bands. There's a lot of younger bands out there that are killing it. Bands like Code Orange, I Prevail, Bad Wolves. I could name a whole list of them. But these younger bands don't necessarily, a lot of them, not all of them, of course. I just want to be clear. There's a lot of great bands, but there is a portion of them that aren't necessarily that great at marketing. They're copy and pasting, their social media game is lacking. They're very safe. They're very polished. They're like politicians in a certain way. And rock and roll has lost its edge to hip hop, which is much more entertaining these days in terms of the personalities involved. They have narratives, there's storylines to a certain effect. You guys have that. You guys have that entertainment spectacle around you. But there are a lot of younger bands that we put out our music and we will not post to social media for 2 months after that. And you're like, bro, you can't do that today.
You can't do that today. If you want to be in front of people's ears, you got to get in front of their eyes. And
right.
And when people release music without videos, the traffic it's so exponentially lower if you
right.
don't release a video component to a song or anything.
Right.
Because people want to see people don't just listen for the most part. People are here. They're here. They're doing this. They're not just going, ooh, I want to check out some new bands.
Right.
Nobody does that anymore. And they used to do it prior to video being so prevalent and available, but it's changed, man. It's fucking changed. So when you want to put a song out or you want to put some content out, if you don't have a video component to it, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. And that goes for the social media posts. If you don't have a presence there that's engaging,
right?
Or if all you do is go, new album out, 5/4, get it, it's awesome. Fucking cares, like, okay, cool. Once you see that post, it just becomes white noise in the back. So, it's important to be engaging, entertaining, don't overpost.
Right.
Because then it becomes white noise. There's this fine line, that you got to do. And, that's another aspect of the game nowadays that, we were lucky enough to kind of come up with it. Yeah. So we're not super out of touch with it, you're
definitely fantastic at it. And
thanks, except for our bass player. He's
not even on social media.
No, dude.
What are you doing, Lexi?
That aren't on it.
Yeah. That's crazy. Well, let me, you hit on something that I thought was fantastic, and that's the music video aspect. And a lot of people don't invest in the visuals. You guys do. And the visual aspect is so important, and it's not only important, it's expanding. I don't know if you know this or not, but Spotify is they're going to add now, when you click on a song, it's going to play the music video. I'm not talking about the loops that they already have. They are doubling down, and by default, this year later, when you click on one of your songs, the music video will roll with it. By default, the whole video. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's a new avenue for you guys to tell your story or whatever. And I've always loved you guys' music videos and have found them to be hilarious. And what goes on there on the video shoot when you guys are out there producing, when you guys are filming your videos?
What goes on?
Yeah, what goes on the set?
Oh, Brian. As much warming down as possible. But it's funny because we take our videos, we want to create great videos. So
right.
They're long days. By the end, you're fried. They're tiring. Some of them can be brutal. We did a video for All I Want to Do Is Fuck
yep.
Myself Tonight in Vegas, rolling on the truck at night, and it was freezing. So, they're not comfortable, but in the end, if you put a great video together, people share it, and then that's part of the growth. But some video sets can be really fun.
Right.
In that video in particular, we were at Crazy Horse 3 in Vegas, which is an adult entertainment venue. And so there was a lot of naked women running around, and we tend to have girls in our videos. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, lots of ladies for sure.
And nudity is definitely encouraged. So there's a lot of silliness and a lot of fun on the set.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, because I'm sure you've got things to do. I don't want to hold you too long. What do you guys have planned in the future? Once all this stuff opens up, and there's a lot of progress being made on vaccines right now. There's a lot of stuff coming at some point next year. I believe that maybe not gigantic stadium shows will be back, but I'm fairly confident because you're already seeing shows in person starting to happen. Skillet did a big show. You guys are playing shows. There are ways to do it. So I was curious, what is in the future for you guys lined up? I'm sure there are things that you had to put on hold.
We had to cancel. Like all bands, we had to push shows back. We had to cancel shows, reschedule them. So we have 21 pretty pretty packed already between Europe and domestic shows, Australia. So there's no shortage of work in 21 as of right now.
Good.
Whether or not we get to do it is a different thing. I tend to agree with you. I think that the progress that we're told is being made on vaccines, I'm hopeful that we get something by the beginning of the year, because it's August. So we got September, October, November, December.
Right.
4 months, 5 months from now, hopefully there's something that makes people feel comfortable enough to go to shows. But, once the door opens again, I plan on being on the road for 3 years straight.
Right. Yeah.
And working on some things, working on new music. We've already got a bunch of new songs ready to record. So my goal with the pandemic when it started, after my week-long depression, and then the 2-week cocaine binge after that.
But that was just normally factored in anyway. That wasn't even related to COVID.
You was being depressed.
Yeah.
No, it was a week and then normal partying.
Right.
The goal became come out of the pandemic more well-known and in a better position than when we went in.
Right.
And if you take away just live show income, I feel like Steel Panther is doing that. We're being very productive, and we're taking this as an opportunity to work on live streams, work on new music, work on new content, and grow the brand and grow the band. Especially now, people want a distraction.
Right.
And we're, God damn it, Brian, we're going to give it to them.
And it's welcomed, baby. It's welcome. Now, when you're doing the streaming, you guys are obviously learning a lot about that process and how it works. I wonder if bands are going to start streaming some. It's probably not a good idea to do all of them, but could you see you guys doing some of these streams from the road?
Yeah. The only problem with that is the uplink.
Right.
You really have to have a venue. It's either got to be a venue that has a retrofitted, something where they went in and rewired the whole network.
Right.
Or you go to like a 20 Monroe Live or a Sylvie in Wisconsin.
All right, everybody. So we are so fortunate. It was such a great discussion with Stix Zadinia from the legendary Steel Panther. We talked about all sorts of stuff like him getting with girls on the road. He is just an awesome guy, a fantastic interview. And again, I want to remind you guys, so August 16th over at Steel Panther's website, they've got the Rockdown in the Lockdown. It is an original live stream. They've got pre-recorded skits. This is a premium broadcast you can get over at their website. This isn't a rerun or a redo. This is a full-fledged broadcast. And they've got live shows, if you remember what those are, happening on 9/11 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and 9/12 Scranton, PA, socially distanced drive-in concerts. I want to thank you again, Stix, for being here. If you're new here, guys, you can subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on breaking news and updates. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brian.